Okay, so today we're going to learn how to create a panorama shot. That is, we're going to stitch multiple shots together to create one large photo. So what you'll need to do first is you'll need to get take the actual shots that will create to put together that will use to put together your panorama. So I think I've used 7 shots here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shots. This is with the drone, of course, but all I've done is I've kept the drone in the same place, but I've turned it. And so you would basically do this with a tripod or just standing on your own 2 feet, even, and turning. Pretty simple. You do want to make sure that your photos kind of overlap each other because what the program is going to do, Lightroom, of course, is going to stitch these together by using similar color tones throughout the images. So it's really simple. Just have to make sure you have the shots first. So I have 7 images. You may have 3 or 5 or 6 or even 2. It would work with 2, but it just depends on like how big of an area you want to show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down Shift, select the one photo that I want to start with and the last photo in that sequence, and then I'm going to right click and I'm going to say Photo Merge and go to Panorama. Okay. So the Panorama merge is going to show you a preview of it. I wouldn't worry about cylindrical or perspective. We'll pretty much want to leave this on spherical. And here we have a preview. Largen this up a little bit. Here we have a preview of our panorama shot. Okay. And what you want to do, you may want to mess with the boundary warp. You can kind of see what that does there. Kind of gives it a rounded, a rounded feeling, but it really kind of warps the edges to make it look like you're kind of in a glass ball or something like that. So I typically don't have that on. You can increase it a little bit, but maybe not a lot. Anyway, I'll leave it at 3. You probably want to have the auto crop on. If you don't have the auto crop on, you may end up with something that looks like this, and that's not the best. So I'm going to leave the auto crop on, and we get this. If you're all happy with that, then go ahead and hit merge, and what it'll do is it'll create your task up here. I'm going to go ahead and cancel mine because I already have mine, of course. This is the photo that it created, the panorama. So I can zoom in, take a look. It looks like everything is looking pretty normal here. So now I'm going to edit it. And first what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset everything in my tone panel. This is, I'm in the basic panel. This is a JPEG that has been created now, so I only have the option of color and monochrome. So I'm going to choose color. I can do a white balance here. I'll choose kind of that roof to white balance. It looks okay. But now what I can do is all of this stuff has already been edited. But if I wanted to mess with it on my own terms, I might reset it by double-clicking the word tone, and that resets everything. Now, if I didn't want to do that, I'm going to hit Command-Z. If I just wanted to reset the exposure, I could double-click exposure and it would reset it. Same with the contrast, same with highlights. Anything that you mess with in this program, Lightroom, you could just double-click and it'll reset to 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset that to 0, the presence as well, but then I'm going to hit auto, just to kind of give it a nice start. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the highlights all the way down. I'm going to move my shadows up because I want to be able to see kind of like back in these trees here, give them a little more definition. This was obviously in the morning, so there are some shadows there that are being cast. And then what I can do, there's a trick here. So this whites and blacks, whites are obviously going to, if I move that up, all the things that are closer to the white color, are going to be brightened. Right, and all these on the black one, the black end, are going to be darkened. Okay, dark versus light pixels here. Now, if you really wanted to, you could hold Alt and click on whites and move this around. Now, what it's telling me here, all the things that have become colorized, those are the pixels in the image that are becoming overexposed. Remember, my whites are all the way up here. If I take them all the way down, it's showing me that everything is pretty well underexposed, or at least they're not overexposed. Okay. So typically what you want to do is you want to find a point where there are not many pixels that are colored. And actually the easiest way to do that is hold shift and double click the word whites. Okay, and the image or the computer will automatically find that sweet spot for you. And I'm going to do the same thing with blacks. And I could show you the same thing with blacks. So if you go here, that means some things are too black. If you go there, that means that pretty much all of your blacks have been turned as bright as they can. But I'm going to reset that, and I'm going to go hold shift and double click blacks, and that'll give me that automatic set point there. You can also do this with clarity and vibrance if you wanted to. It's up to you. I'm going to add a little bit of clarity. I'm not one that likes to turn the clarity up, because if you jack it up really high, then it looks a little fake. So I'm just going to leave it. Let's reset that. I'm going to put it at like 4. And I'm not going to mess with the dehaze, although you could if you wanted to, but it doesn't really work that well for this picture. So I'm going to leave that, leave the vibrance and the saturation. So that is how you would simply put together a panorama shot in Lightroom. Now all you have to do is export it and turn it in.